Esports players don't just strive to win tournaments, they want to leave a lasting mark on the game itself. The first thing that comes to mind is getting your own sticker, but there are plenty of other ways to etch your name into CS history. For instance, some players get whole positions on maps named after them. Like now B players are not behind the bench, they're on Forest. And let's not forget about the Donk Slide or Xantarez Peak, where players became famous for using a specific tactic or game mechanic. But today, we're looking at a truly unique case. The hero of this video literally added a new role to Counter-Strike. He developed a completely new approach to Team CS, which turned out to be so effective that other teams just had to come up with something similar. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because you're watching CYBERSHOKE, and today, we'll explain why GetRight is a legend. Alright guys, today's video isn't just about sharing Christopher's biography. It's about uncovering why he's considered a Counter-Strike legend. We all know his nickname, GetRight, but not everyone truly understands how he became one of the greatest players in CS history. So we won't bore you with long retellings of forgotten tournaments, and instead, we'll focus on what truly matters, the key things that made GetRight a true legend. Christopher's early years in the pro scene were anything but easy. Despite being one of the most talented players in the world, he nearly quit CS 1.6 due to the overwhelming pressure he faced. Let's dive into how it all unfolded. GetRight started playing CS at just 9 years old, thanks to his older brother. He quickly made a name for himself in the local scene, and by 2007, he joined his first strong team, B-Grip. The manager of the team had this to say about him back in the day. "Christopher isn't famous worldwide yet, but in Sweden, he is very well known. The level of his game is impressive. When I first saw him half a year ago, I immediately said he'd go far, and I wasn't wrong." It seemed like success was inevitable for him, but that wasn't the case. B-Grip failed miserably at ESWC, leading to the team's disbandment. Almost immediately after that, young Christopher received a message from NIP, inviting him to play at an upcoming tournament with them. He eagerly accepted the offer, only to discover that NIP were forbidden from making a substitute. As a result, he was asked to join the server under a different player's name. Their little trick was quickly uncovered, and NIP were disqualified from the tournament. Despite that setback, GetRight did make it to the main lineup, but his stay there still lasted less than a month. The team basically collapsed, unable to meet the sponsor's expectations. Christopher's career followed an unfortunate pattern. He could never stay on the same lineup for long, preventing him from truly unleashing his full potential. While it was clear to everyone that he was top-tier material in terms of skill, the discussion of any trophies was still far off. Time went on, and bad luck continued to haunt him. For example, after leaving NIP, he joined SK, only to quickly realize that he was being treated as the 6th player on the roster. Having no desire to continue in that situation, he asked SK to let him join the Meet Your Makers team. The management agreed, but on one condition. If his new team ever faced SK in a match, GetRight would not participate. GetRight, super happy at finally joining a full-fledged lineup, then went on to play a match against SK, somehow forgetting about that rule. And as soon as the match was over, he was right back on the bench. That's basically how all of 2007 went for Christopher. Despite being a well-known talent, he wasn't developing under great conditions like Donk, for instance. On the contrary, he was bouncing from one team to another, never able to find a permanent home. He was so noteworthy, though, that he even got nominated as the best Swedish player by a local media outlet called Fragbite. However, the lack of trophies and his young age were significant drawbacks, and SK, having a player of his caliber under contract, kept him on the bench. At one point, Christopher seriously considered switching from CS 1.6 to CS Source, since the long list of failures were starting to take a toll on his motivation. Thankfully, Christopher didn't give up, and over time, he was finally able to secure a spot in a strong team. At the start of 2009, he was signed by Fnatic, an organization where the Swede truly peaked. At just 19 years old, GetRight was named the best player of 2009 and earned second place in both 2010 and 2011. During this time, he wasn't yet showcasing his unique playstyle, but instead stood out as an incredibly skilled rifler, delivering excellent results on a consistent basis. And it's important to note that while the world was still adapting to CSGO, Christopher had already established himself as one of the best players in the world, and it was in CSGO that the Swede truly reached legend status. You've probably heard this story before, but when CSGO esports was taking shape, NIP had an unparalleled dominance. They managed to put together a strong lineup that began training in CSGO in advance, giving them a significant advantage over teams that were still stuck in 1.6, like Navi was. Young GetRight was evolving quickly in this environment. Even before CSGO, he could easily destroy any opponent, but after the game was released, thanks to the advantage NIP had from training early, he got to a whole new level. Just to put it into perspective, he was putting up numbers similar to Donk does today. His first major tournament, first place, a 1.33 rating, and an MVP medal. The next tournament, another win, another MVP, and this time with a rating of 1.36. NIP were so dominant that they won an incredible 87 maps in a row at LAN tournaments. On top of that, they made it to the finals of 8 major events back-to-back. And while the community was in awe of NIP's overall performance, GetRight was widely regarded as their biggest star, only occasionally sharing that title with his teammate Forrest. That alone would probably be enough to be remembered as a CS legend, but there's one more thing that truly cemented Christopher's legendary status. So let's get into that. You see, after a while, GetRight got bored of being a star player who just gets kills, and so each year, his playstyle evolved, becoming more unusual and unique, until it was so distinctive that you could identify his demo without even seeing his nickname. He once summed up his philosophy with a short yet profound statement. "I understand that team play is one of the main aspects of Counter-Strike, but that doesn't mean a team should always play together." Many of you probably already know what we're hinting at. Yes guys, GetRight isn't just a famous player, but the first successful lurker in CS history. During the peak years of his career, Christopher spent countless hours in Counter-Strike, constantly striving to improve and believing his team could perform even better. At the time, most strats were pretty straightforward, like where the T's would approach a site, throw nades, and try to piece together a round. GetRight, on the other hand, liked to think a bit deeper. He enjoyed noticing small details during matches, like how much utility was used, or the different sounds of footsteps, which he used to figure out how the enemy was playing. This helped him spot weaknesses in their strategy and take advantage of them. Christopher explored the idea and started playing more independently from his teammates. A simple example of this is when his team was trying to take the B site on Dust 2 while he would go long. There he would focus on utility usage, listen for rotations, and then relay what he found out back to his team. In the end, he would catch the CTs trying to retake the site by getting behind their backs, making crucial kills, while staying away from his team. But check out this comment from an ordinary player under an HLTV article about GetRight. "I don't get it. Why do people like GetRight as a player? He plays like a goddamn rat. Forrest is way better. He gets open frags, plays aggressively, and all that stuff." Here's how Christopher himself described his role. "A good lurker is a player who reads the enemy so well that they can move across the map with ease, making their kills look like they're in a deathmatch. A good lurker knows when to take a risk and when to play in sync with their teammates." So the combination of all these factors is what makes GetRight a true legend. For many years, he was consistently among the best players in the world. In 2013 and 2014, he even got first place. What's more, for months, the community was fixated on his team, which reached the finals of 8 consecutive tournaments. And Christopher wasn't just a good player. He was literally creating a new philosophy of the T-side. He was so successful in his role that the term lurker would immediately make you think of GetRight and vice versa. And anyone who wanted to adopt his playstyle would go straight to his demos to learn from the master himself. Over time, the lurker role became essential for all teams. Many new players took GetRight's ideas and added their own spin, bringing the role to new levels. But Christopher was the first to truly make the lurker role work at the highest level of CS. His contribution changed the game in a way that was felt for years to come. In 2015, GetRight was ranked 11th in HLTV's player rankings. The following year, he dropped to 18th, marking his final appearance in the top 20. As time went on, his career began to decline. In 2019, he parted ways with NIP, and a year and a half later, he officially announced his retirement from professional CS. ESL called Christopher one of the top 10 best players of the decade, and HLTV inducted him into their Hall of Fame. And hopefully with this video, we've shown you why he's considered not just a great player, but a true legend in the world of Counter-Strike. Hey guys, this is the second video in this format. In the first one, we analyzed Kenny S's legacy, and today we discussed Get Right. Let us know in the comments if you want more videos about legendary players who truly change Counter-Strike. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the best esports content. See you soon.